Now go.
Okay, so what we're doing is we're setting up a fodder system for feeding the chickens. We're going to grow barley fodder, and I'm going to use this shelving system. I think I'm going to do either a 10 or a 20 gallon tote underneath it so we can fill it with water and run up and put our irrigation system on top, similar to what we did out in the garden, but we're just going to use, this is going to be inside. This way we can do it year round. We'll be able to produce 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8 flats of fodder at a time. And once we get rotating out, hopefully we'll be able to produce that fodder in a way that we can rotate it out to where we have a pan of it every day for the birds. It's a lot higher in nutrition content, and it doesn't require as much as you would. Plus you can take and turn about a 50-pound bag of barley into about 200 pounds of feed by doing it this way. So it's a lot more cost effective. A little bit expensive on the front end. Of course, we're having to buy materials and stuff. Some of it we have at the house, but I'm gonna have to get a pump. I'm gonna have to get some guttering. I've got the shelving unit. I'm gonna have to get a tote. And so there's a few things we're gonna have to buy, but I still think all in all, we've already got a 50-pound bag of barley at home. I think all in all, we'll be able to get out of this for somewhere right around $100, which in the long run, that's gonna save us hundreds of dollars. So that's what we're doing right now. And I think I'm gonna go with a 20. It's not much higher as far as height-wise goes.
What about width? Is it going to fit underneath
Yeah,
that?
it'll fit underneath there.
Width-wise?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it'll fit
okay.
underneath there. And then what we'll do is we'll just have to start. See, that shelf right there is about right, and then we can put the bottom shelf up towards the top. When we set it up ourselves, we can set it up however we like. But that's going to give us that part of it. And I do want a lid for it. Well, the plastic's going to be lighter. That's metal.
Oh, okay.
The metal's going to be heavier.
Is the plastic going to tilt? Maybe not.
I'll attach it to it.
Okay.
Figured it was only going to come in these big sections, though. I always have to take some cutters and cut it down. Should have got a different deal.
There's one at the end. On here.
Hello, folks. This is Hunter here, Rockin' G Farm. My wife wanted me to video some stuff. We've decided to put in a fodder system so that we can grow year-round and try to help some of our feed costs and everything. Basically, you can take and turn 50 pounds of barley, oats, wheat. You can turn that into about 200 pounds of feed for our chickens, which is what we're planning on doing. We went to the store, made that run earlier, picked up all the materials. I have been putting together the guttering system. I have the cabinet already put together inside. I'm not as good as my wife at trying to film everything, but basically I've got a piece of gutter right there that I'm going to put on the bottom of it. These buckets right here, I've got a pump, a submersible pump that'll go in the water container. Those buckets right there are going to be used for soaking the barley. We have about 50 pounds of barley. That's what we're going to start with. Oh, excuse me. So we're doing it in our laundry room. It's not a huge space, but we've got this set up over here, and then we'll put the trays up here and we'll lean them one way or the other, put holes on one end where it'll drain into the next set. I'm going to actually use our system, and I'm going to, our irrigation system that we set up, I'm going to take some poly pipe and run from that sump pump up here so that it'll be on a timer, and it'll kick on ever so often and water these for about 5 to 10 minutes, depending on what we got. That container down there, I'm going to plumb all of the hoses in and out of there for the drain, for the gutter system, and then out of there for the water system, run it up the sides here, and then go across there. So that's what I'm going to be working on. like I said, I'm not as good at filming as my wife is, but I'm going to periodically try to pick up some more sections of this and how it's going as I get it installed. All right, folks, here's what we got. Sorry I didn't get a lot of video footage of me actually doing it. Like I said, I'm not as good at this as my wife is, but here's what we got. This is going to be our hydroponic fodder system. We have down here in the reservoir, we can put water in there, fill it up. It's a 20-gallon tote, so it'll hold 20 gallons. It has a 30-gallon per minute sump pump that is plumbed in and hooked up. It runs up here. I have not set my drippers yet because I have ordered my trays, and when I get my trays here, I'll set them up according, because these should hold 3 trays a piece. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 12. We should be able to do so at a time. And I'm gonna set my drippers up. Everything's set on a slant or a cant. You put holes on the low end of the trays. They drip down into the next one, and then vice versa all the way down until it hits this gutter system. Once it hits this gutter system, it will ride itself along back in here and recycle the water. And then once we get through a cycle, usually it takes between 8 and 10 days to get the fodder grown. Excuse me. And it's got a high nutritional value, and we'll be able to feed chickens with it. 12 trays. We ought to be able to put out quite a bit, especially through the winter time, which is why we've done it inside, so that we have the ability to maintain temperature control. Seeds have enough packed in them, but whenever you're doing fodder, it doesn't really need a lot of daylight. Of course, we do have some light, and we have grow lights if necessary to try to spur the process. But for right now, this is all we need. I went ahead and hooked up a timer system, and on that timer system, I will be able to set up that to water however many times I want to, and I'm going to do some reading on it so that I know how to program it. But then that will kick that pump on ever so often. It will water the system. Then once we get it grown, I can pull this out, pull the bottom tray out, empty the water, clean it real good, sanitize it, go back in, do the same thing with the trays as I use them. And we'll just see how this goes. Hopefully we'll be able to expand our feeding without expanding the cost. All right, folks, little update. This is our fodder system now. You can see I've got several stages of growth. We actually are going to let this play out and feed this last little bit. We've got some stuff coming up where we're not going to be able to be here to water and keep everything going on it. But I'm fixing to go feed that tray, the tallest tray there, to the birds. And then tomorrow that tray will be fed, and then that tray will be fed the day after that, and that tray will be fed the last day. And then I'm going to clean this system up. And like I said, we've got some things coming up where we're not going to be able to do the watering completely. But this is really a system for us as a supplement to expand feed, but also through the winter time, with it being indoors, to be able to keep feed on the birds without having to pay the ever rising cost. But yeah, that's 8 days of growth right there.